Sorry. I have been a feminist since my mother first taught me the word. For me, it was always a label I used proudly. I liked having one singular word that sums up my anger at the sexism that surrounds me. I liked feeling like I was part of something bigger than just myself. It was only when I went into senior school that I realized that some people did not have the same positive connotations when it came to feminism. Whenever I called out a sexist comment or spoke of my participation at the Feminist Society at my school, I was met with eye rolls and audible sighs. People told me that it really wasn't that deep, and feminists were just doing too much. This was when I realized that we as a society needed feminism more than I could have ever imagined. The truth is that we exist in a world where women and girls are having the rights and futures stripped away from them, and have to struggle every day to get the same opportunities as their male counterparts. A world where men, the ones supposedly benefiting from the patriarchy, are also confined by its limits and ideals. But sadly, and confusingly, we also live in a world where people are still too afraid to call themselves feminists, when people say that feminism is no longer needed, or even that it's gone too far. We all have the opportunity to help change this world for the better, and we can do this through feminism. Feminism is defined as a movement that advocates for gender equality. Feminists believe that all people deserve to be treated equally, no matter their gender or sex. This definition might be surprising to hear, as how feminism is often represented is very different to what it actually is. Feminists are often portrayed as angsty teens or angry middle-aged women who argue and nag at men because they are unhappy with their own lives. And feminism itself is thought of as meaningless words that companies can just slap on coffee cups, instead of what it truly is. A movement that has spanned decades, from the suffragettes and suffragists to the women and girls fighting for the freedoms and futures in Afghanistan. The word feminism itself was first used in 1837, showing that it is not a recent fad. Instead, it is a rich history of millions of people around the world and throughout the ages standing up for equality. So, when someone says they aren't a feminist because they don't believe women should be treated better than men, correct them. Tell them that the reason that feminism has been traditionally focused on women's rights is because women have been the ones who have been historically disadvantaged. Say to them that gender inequality heightens other issues, such as racism, ableism, and homophobia, with women and minority groups experiencing a combination of discrimination, making gender equality even more important. Remind them that feminists fight on all issues of gender equality, including the ones where men are the ones disadvantaged. We fight for everyone to be equal, and we fight for everyone equally. There is a common misconception that just because women now have the right to vote, that we don't need feminism. We have basic human rights now. Why are we still complaining? This is where I disagree, because even in 2025, women's rights are still being taken away, and we are still not equal. This happens at every stage of our lives. Here are 3 examples. UNICEF say that worldwide, 119 million girls are out of school. This means that literally millions of girls are not being given access to education, and their basic right to learn is being taken away from them. This shows that even as children, we are not being treated equally. Amnesty International reported that globally, on average, 30% of all women who have been in relationships have experienced physical and/or sexual violence committed against them by their partner. That means that nearly 1 in 3 women have had their feeling of safety and security taken away by someone they thought they could trust, even love. This shows that in relationships, we are not being treated equally. Finally, a study from the Interparliamentary Union, which asked women parliamentarians from across the world about their experiences, 44.4% of those surveyed said they received threats of death, rape, beatings, or abduction during their parliamentary term. This means that women, even in positions of power, are being harassed and violated. This shows that in the workplace and even as leaders, we are not being treated equally. These statistics show that at each and every stage of our lives, we are not being treated equally. This is not meant to make you all nihilist or completely give up hope. Instead, I wanted to show where we desperately need to do something. We make up society, not the other way around, meaning we can decide how we want it to function. If we want to leave it the way it is, or if we want to change it forever, make it a more fair and equal place. So, let's talk about ways we can make a change on a global and a personal scale. The most important way we can make a difference is by education. When I say we need more education, I mean this in two distinct ways. The first is we need to try and make education more accessible, especially to young girls, so that their futures are filled with opportunities in every part of the world. The second is about educating ourselves, learning about the world around us and how we can make it better. For ways we can help with the first type of education, we need to look no further than Malala and her charity, the Malala Fund. A story you probably already know is how brave young Malala from Pakistan stood up to the Taliban, speaking out publicly on behalf of girls and their right to learn. She was shot for her advocacy, but she recovered, and in 2014 she established Malala Fund. The fund has done some truly incredible work in the last 10 years, and as of September 2024, they reached 21.8 million students. We can help support this amazing organization through raising money and awareness, or even doing something as simple as following them on Instagram. We need to do as much as possible to support charities and people like Malala so they're able to flourish and continue their amazing work and help bring education to everyone. For educating ourselves, it's much more simple. All you have to do is look around and notice. Look around and realize that the things that we've been taught and the outdated rules we live by are just that, outdated. When you notice that there are less girls in your chemistry class, stop to think, why? Is it because the XX chromosome comes with an inherent inability to understand covalent bonding? Or is it because every scientist you've seen on TV has been a man? Or is it because the outdated stereotypes that girls are more feeling and boys more logical? Once you begin to notice these issues, the next step is to call it out. When you hear a sexist comment or see something that just doesn't sit right, say something. Tell the person that what they said is just not okay, or try and get involved in making things better. Don't stay silent. Stand up, because by us all doing something, we change everything. I want to end by saying that the real solution to our sexist situation is what I call active feminism. Although I truly believe the first step to us is us all adopting the label of feminists, we must do more than just believe that gender should be equal. We need to actively try and make it happen. At this point in time, we have leaders who are actually trying to take away our rights. We can't just passively disagree with gender inequality. We must make our voices so loud that they cannot ignore us. We need to be active feminists because gender inequality is not trivial. It is something that affects us all. From the boy that feels he cannot cry to the girl that cannot read. So, let's all join together and become part of a history of people standing up for what's right. Let's be part of doing something bigger than just ourselves, something that improves the lives of everyone. Let's all become active feminists.